Hello everybody, my name is Sarah, and in this video I'm going to do a quick tips, tricks, hacks, and maybe insert a little bit of a personal review about the brand new Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus. So this video is intended to try to help people get the most efficient, interactive, and immersive experience that they can with their newly purchased phone. This is not going to be a walkthrough on how to use the phone beginning to end. I think that's something that people kind of need to figure out on their own. And nowadays, where smartphones have been on the market for quite some time, I think they have become pretty intuitive and people can kind of walk their way through the basics. But I do want to go through some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up as a longtime Android and Samsung user, and things that you can unlock the potential of your phone. These defaults are not set to on, but they do enhance the usability of the phone, and I think will enhance your experience, and they definitely have worked for me. So I'm going to walk through a bunch of these things with you and kind of give some of my opinions of some of these features and how they've worked for me. So to start, just to kind of give a brief review of the phone, we talked about the aesthetics in my unboxing. If you have not seen that, I will put a link to that in the comments below. And just kind of tear open the box. So if you haven't purchased one of these phones yet and you're thinking about it and you're watching this video because you're on the fence on whether to buy one of these phones, you can kind of see what's in the box in that one. So I've had the phone for about 24 hours now. I have not had it for a long time, but the Android system and the framework that they use for the S series and the Note series phones are nothing new to me, so it's just kind of an enhancement on something that I'm already used to. So I've already been able to form a pretty solid opinion on this phone, and it has replaced the Note 7 for me, which I'm really happy about. In most ways. I do miss the S Pen. It was something that I used quite a bit when I was using my phone at work. I liked the screen off memo mode. It was a really nice feature to have. I had it in my Note 5. I use the pen a lot, so I'll be looking forward to the Note 8. But in all other regards, it has replaced, for the most part, the Note 7 phone, save for the battery life for obvious reasons, and the pen, and a little bit in the width of the phone. But otherwise, it's a pretty suitable replacement. I was really disappointed when I had to downgrade to the S7 Edge when they took the phone back on recall. Not because the S7 Edge was a bad phone, but because once you have something and you have certain features and they take them away, you miss them. You immediately miss them. So they've recuperated those features and added some additional ones for the S8 Plus, which I'm really happy with. So my general review and my rating for the phone, I give it a good solid 9 out of 10. So ergonomically speaking, the phone is very nice. I talked about this in my unboxing video. It fits nicely in the hand. For a woman's hand with shorter fingers, it definitely feels nice. I can wrap my thumb around there. I can kind of use the phone one-handed. That was a criticism I had in the Note. The Note was a little bit bigger, and then by the time you put a protective case on it, you could barely grip the thing. I am using a Armor Box case. I actually changed over from the OtterBox case, which I thought was a little bulky, and I ended up modifying that case anyway and peeling the built-in screen protector off because it was really just pretty awful. But I had the OtterBox Defender because I need the holster for work, and this is a company called iBlazon makes this. It's actually pretty nice. It makes the phone a little bit more bulky, but not a ton. It's still got a good grip to it. But the nice thing is that the narrow profile of the phone, and when you add a case, it's still nice in the hands. So that's nice. I did not think that the aspect ratio was going to work really well, this kind of long aspect ratio. But I'm going to go through the settings, and I'm going to show you how to maximize on that and make sure that your apps maximize on that so you can get the best experience possible with the phone, so you're not getting a lot of crop in your usage. Okay, so let's dive right in here. A lot of what I'm going to be doing here today is going to involve your settings. So the quickest way to get to your settings, if you don't know this already, is you swipe down from the top to open your notification panel. And you get this little settings icon in the upper right hand corner, and that'll open your entire system menu with all your settings and all your sub menus. So this is going to be your pretty much one-stop shop for everything you need to do. Now, I understand that a lot of these different phones, if you have a different carrier, some of your settings and some of your display will look a little bit different. Things might be in a different order, and it might not match up perfectly. So if you ever get lost, or if you can't find a setting that I've mentioned in this video, there is a search option, and you can kind of search for any of these system settings that you want to. So I can search for always on display here, and as you start typing, it opens up all your relevant search items and hits in the menu screens, and you can go right to them if you can't find them through the subfolders. It's a little bit faster to do it that way, but I'm going to kind of show you where they all are so that you can learn how to find them if you haven't used these particular settings already. So first and foremost, we're going to go through the display. That's probably going to be the most prominent way that you're going to want to customize your phone to the way that you like it to look and behave, and how you interface with it on a day-to-day basis. So when you open up your settings, as I showed you in the last screen, you're going to go down to the one called Display. I'm not going to go through every part of the settings in great detail, but I am going to go over some of the ones that you might not know at face value what they are, or might not know that they're even there if you haven't explored the settings on your own. So top is auto brightness. That's pretty obvious. Blue light filter might be something that you're not expecting. This is something that they introduced with the Galaxy Note 7, and then they introduced with an actual software update to the S7 and S7 Edge. But this might not be something that you were aware is present. You can do your own research on blue light and how it affects your eyes and how it affects your sleep patterns, especially for those of you out there who tend to use your phone before bed. A blue light filter is always a good option, and this is going to allow you to do it without an external app. So you can turn your blue light filter on and off, and I have it set to on, and you can schedule it for certain times of the night too. So let me turn this off real quick. You can see how blue things look. Now your phone by default is going to come with the blue filter off. If you turn it on at the initial face value, it's going to make things look a little bit orangey to you, especially if you're running a lighter theme here where you have white in the background. It may be off-putting in the beginning, but give it less than 30 seconds and your eyes will adjust and you'll realize that the whites look white again. So I recommend that this is something you turn on, and if you don't want to keep it on all the time, if you think that the colors are a little bit too warm for your liking, you can turn your scheduled blue light filter on, and you can kind of customize your stuff down here. I just keep it on all the time, and that's the way that I like it. I'm used to my phone, and to be honest with you, I've never noticed that it makes my videos or my pictures look too warm, and it doesn't really affect my interaction with the phone in any way visually, so I just leave that on all the time. Okay, next on the list here is going to be screen mode. Your adaptive display is automatically chosen for you. This is going to be the most customizable setting for you. It's going to allow you to put the blue light filter on, your auto brightness on, things like that. Your AMOLED, cinema, and photo and basic will kind of turn those things off. And they're going to enhance certain settings for certain types of things. You know, obviously cinema and photo are going to be optimized for movies and videos. So you can choose and kind of play around. It'll give you kind of a preview of what it looks like at the top if you want to play around with those for yourself. Okay, next thing is going to be screen resolution. This is going to be something a little bit different. You may not have seen this in phones before, but it comes by default here at this 1080. Now you can see there's a very interesting aspect ratio, but it's going to come at full HD. You can actually step that up to quad HD by kicking that up here to your WQHD here, your setting, and you can kind of see that your aspect ratio changes. This again is not going to be a typical 16:9 aspect ratio, but I turn it up all the way. I haven't seen it diminish battery life, you know, in the short period of time that I've had the phone. It just kind of changes what your settings are. This is going to allow you to kind of by default watch your YouTube videos or your movies, your Netflix in 4K if it's broadcasted in that particular resolution. Alright, so the next thing I want to show you is home screen. You can kind of set your screen zoom and font. That's going to be a matter of personal preference. It's pretty obvious and intuitive. But your home screen here is going to be something, it's a little bit different on this phone. So you've got your typical, you can set your grid to how many icons you want to cross up and down, things like that. But one of the things that you want to look at here is your apps button. And what your apps button is actually this right here. This little icon dedicated to opening up your app screen. I have mine in folders, some people have them in pages, it's a matter of personal preference. But by default, this phone ships with this button hidden. You're not going to see that. So the way to open your apps is to kind of swipe up. Now this is not something that I'm accustomed to doing. It's not something I've done in my older Android phones. I like to have this icon here, so I turn that on. So you basically do that by going under your display settings where we just were, under your home screen, and there is a button here that says apps button, and then this is default set to hide, and I'm just going to turn that on to show apps button, and you apply that setting, and then it remains on your home screen here. The next thing you're going to want to look at is your full screen apps here. This is a brand new menu item contingent on the fact that this particular phone has a larger aspect ratio. This is going to be specific to the Galaxy S8 Plus. You're not going to see this on other Android devices. But this is going to enhance the utilization of your app to fill this full screen. Now some of these apps you can see come default. They can't even be turned down and downgraded. But a lot of these are set to off by default. So a lot of your third-party apps are default set to just use a typical aspect ratio, and it won't be filling the screen, so you're going to have dark areas around the screen. So you're going to have to go through and turn them on. I'd like to see something in the future, like a software update where Samsung has all apps turned on. Right now I have not used every single app on my phone. Obviously it's only been 24 hours, so I don't think that there's going to be a conflict. But if you see that something might be too stretched out or too skewed, you might have to turn it off. Like I said, it depends on where you're getting these apps from. Something that might be like a private developer app might not be quite as adaptive as something that might have corporate backing or a major production team that's able to kind of adapt the apps. But I've got a number of apps that I use in varying degrees on here, and I've just set them all to on for now, and if I have a conflict I'll just move back into the screen and turn it back to off. So another option on here that has been present on a lot of the recent phones is Smart Stay. Now if you're interested, you can click on a lot of these menu items, and if you forget or if you don't have access to this video or you don't know what these are, you click on it and it'll give you more information. But this Smart Stay is basically one of those things that's going to keep your phone on while you're looking at it. So this might come in handy when you're reading something. If you're reading maybe a page of like an ebook, or if you're just trying to look at something, or you're looking at something on a web page where the phone doesn't know that it's active. It might be an embedded video that the phone doesn't know is active, and it's going to start to dim out the screen or time out and shut your screen off, and then you've got to kind of hit the button and wake it back up. This is going to try to keep the phone on and keep the screen on while you're looking at it, so you don't constantly have to keep waking up the screen to keep it from going into basically hibernation or screensaver, or however you have it set up. So the next thing you might want to look at under the display settings is your navigation bar screen. This is obviously going to extrapolate your current theme here to the background on your navigation bar. So if you've got a colored theme or a dark theme or a light theme, it's going to just kind of carry that into the navigation bar. It's just an aesthetic thing. This here you have unlock with home button. So you can long press the home button and it will unlock the phone. I do not recommend this if you've got any kind of biometric screening on your phone, because this will actually bypass the lock. So I've got facial recognition and I've got fingerprint scanner set up. But if I turn this on, what you can do is from the home screen, you hold this button, it bypasses your lock entirely. So I'm at my home screen, so anybody who knows this can unlock your phone. So it's something that I don't recommend turning on unless you're one of the people who just has swipe to unlock. Then it might be a good feature for you to kind of speed up the process of unlocking your phone. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn that back off because I don't want to use that. But on that subject here, if you are used to using an older phone, like a Note or an S7, or if you're looking at an iPhone, you may be accustomed to pressing this button here. And I'd press this button, I'd take my thumbprint, and it would unlock my phone. But when you come here and you just kind of press this home button, it doesn't really respond. Now you can double tap it to get it to wake up, Or the other thing you could do is that long press is active, so usually the long press will bring you to your unlock mode. Now it's not reading my face because my face isn't lined up with this, but it will take you right to your lock screen, and basically you could do your iris scanner or your facial detection, or there's always the fingerprint unlock option. The other thing to show you is that the fingerprint unlock option is always active, so you don't have to wake up the phone. I've got the always on display on, but this will work regardless. If I just put my finger on here, it will unlock immediately. So I don't have to wake up the phone. I don't have to kind of enter the mode. I don't have to have it expect my finger to be there. It'll just kind of unlock as soon as I put my finger there, and it recognizes the fingerprint like so. And the last three options under display pretty much go without saying. You can change how long it takes for your screen to time out. Keeping your screen turned off in dark areas so it doesn't accidentally get turned on in your pocket or in your purse or anything like that. And then your screensaver, you can turn that on or off, but those really aren't a big deal here. So the next thing you're going to see under your main menu is Edge Screen. Now this is going to give you some real basic information, turning your edge panels on or off, your edge lighting on or off. So your edge lighting is going to come by default off, but if you turn it on, it'll actually kind of light up when you have your phone face down. So if you have your phone on silent or on vibrate, and you get a text message or some kind of phone call that you might not be able to hear, you'll see it kind of light up the sides of the color so that you can kind of see that and you can respond if you choose to do so. But if you want to customize your edge screen, let me kind of show you how that works here. So for those of you who don't know what an edge screen is, if you haven't had an edge device by Samsung in the past, or if you're coming from the Apple family, you're going to swipe in from your left and you have an edge screen here. So you can put your some of your shortcuts, you can customize this entirely. So the best way to do that is to come down here and you hit your little settings icon, and you're going to open up the settings for your edge screen. So you can customize your panels here. You can choose how many panels you want. You can set a panel for weather. You can set a panel for music, setting things, turning things on here. You can download different items, different themes. You come in here and you drag and drop your icons that you want. So you open up some of these screens. You can add your contacts. You can have your favorite contacts. And you basically scroll through your edge screens as you would scroll through the pages. If you come up here, you can change your handler settings. If you want that on your right side, if you're a lefty kind of user and you want to swipe in from your right, you can do that. You can change the size. You can make your edge really large so you can kind of see that the size of the edge panel get large. You can be really small and be in a very focused area. I keep it in the middle. And then there's transparency. You can make it so that it's really bright so you can see that edge all the time. I don't like that, so I keep it to really high transparency so you can just barely see that outline there. And I know where it is, and you can kind of pull and swipe in on that. And you could turn this vibration on or off. So basically when I give this a little bit of a pull, I get a little bit of a vibrate to indicate that I've caught the edge and I'm pulling it open. If I had more screens set up, I'd just kind of swipe through them like that. But that's a quick walkthrough of the edge screen. I'm sure there's a lot more videos and things like that, but I thought it was worth mentioning in the videos for those people who have not used an edge device in the past. So the next thing I want to go through is down here in your advanced features. I think this is something that people kind of stay away from because they think that it's kind of developer features or things that aren't going to apply to them. But there are actually some cool things in here that you might want to open up and turn on. There's one-handed mode. If you click on this, it'll give you some information on how to kind of shrink the screen. So if you need to use it with one hand and you need to shrink it so that it's more accessible with one hand, you can do that. It has no use for me, so I keep that off. But you can kind of read the instructions and customize that there. You've got your finger sensor gesture. This is brand new, and this is kind of neat, actually. This is going to allow you to use the fingerprint scanner on the back to activate your notifications. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to pull down, and it's going to open up my notification bar. And to close it, I'm going to swipe back up as I just locked my phone. So I'll pull down to get that open, and then I'll swipe back up to get that closed. So watching it from the front, pull down, it opens up your notifications at a glance. When you're done with that, you swipe back up and it will close the notifications for you. So that's kind of a neat thing to turn on. So going to your next option under your advanced features, you've got your quick launch camera, and this is going to set your double click of your lock button to opening the camera. So if I do a quick double click, it's going to open up my camera. So that's an option as a quick shortcut as opposed to opening up the camera from your lock screen or opening up the camera from the actual camera icon itself. You get a quick double click and that opens up. It's really convenient. I think it's something nice to have turned on. You've got your phone assistant. You can kind of look at this. It's got some things that'll kind of help you out. Nothing really exciting there. Okay, moving on down in the advanced option, you have Smart Capture. Now let's rewind a little bit to the screen capture option. In old versions of the phone, for Android devices, you would take your lock button and your home button and hold them at the same time for 2 seconds, and you'd get a screenshot of what you have on the screen. That no longer works with the digital home button. But what they've done is they made it a lot more ergonomically friendly, and you have a one-handed operation for screen capture now. You take your volume down, and you take your lock button, you do a 2-second press simultaneously, and you get a screen capture. Now, what that Smart Capture option is doing is it's actually opening up an immediate menu for you to interface with your brand new screen capture. So you can go ahead and you can click on this and read a little bit about it, but let me show you. If I take a screen capture of this, it's going to open a sub menu here where I can immediately crop, I can immediately share, I can draw on my picture. I haven't really used this option, so it's obviously asking me for some permissions, but it gives me some immediate options to interface with this picture and do what I please with it. And if you don't do anything in the first few seconds, it's just going to kind of disappear and go along its way. So you can see if I do a screen capture here, and I just want to keep going on with my business, you give that a couple seconds of not interfacing, and then you're right back to what you were doing. If you don't want that to stay on your screen and give you that option, you can go ahead and turn that off. The next thing is your palm swipe to capture. It's just a secondary mode of capturing a photo of what's on your screen. This might be helpful if you have it on a flat surface. As shown, you just kind of give it a swipe and it'll take a screen capture. Probably not something I use a ton, but like I said, if you have it on a flat surface and it might be a little awkward to grab it like this, you do a quick swipe and you either open your menu or you get the screen capture. Now that is something I wanted to mention about this. You do have to be touching it. So if you're on something like a main menu or if you're in a photo album, something that you can swipe through, it may accidentally misconstrue what you're doing with some kind of activity on the phone. So this might be something that you want to reserve for, let's say you have your internet open, you want to get a screen capture of that, you can do that. So one of the next few small options that they have here is you've got your Smart Alert option, and basically what that is if you've got the phone resting on a table upside down and you pick it up, it'll do a quick vibrate in your hand to tell you that there is a notification waiting for you. So it's kind of telling you that and it's showing you what's going on. It's just kind of a little extra feature, just kind of a nice to have thing. You've got easy mode here. You're basically able to shut your phone up or ignore it by just kind of covering the screen or setting it face down. So if you've got a call coming through or a text coming through and you're in a meeting and you want the lights to turn off, instead of hitting the ignore button or hitting a button on the side, you just kind of flip it over and it basically says, okay, I'm shutting up now. Swipe to call and send messages is just kind of one of those things where you can take something on a list of maybe your text messages or your contacts, and it's got a quick swipe where you can kind of swipe this way to call, this way to send a text message. It's just an easier way to interface with your phone, makes things more convenient than clicking on the contact and then selecting what you want to do. It's just kind of a fast way to do things, and they hide it in the advanced settings, but it's a nice thing to have turned on. So down here you've got direct share. This is an option that's kind of makes like a shortcut for you when you're sharing something. So if I take a picture, for instance, let's just take a screenshot that we just took, and I want to take this and I want to share it with somebody. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to the share icon. I'm going to share the image. And it's going to give me a shortcut panel. It's going to give me a quick list of maybe my top few recent contacts or my quick share options here. Instead of selecting from a long list, it's going to give me kind of a quick at-a-glance menu. So it's just kind of a nice thing to have on. It's a little bit more convenient, a little bit more intuitive for the things that you might want to share. And the last thing on here is a video enhancer. It's just going to kind of enhance the quality of your videos through these apps. I figure why not turn it on? Why not make the video look nicer? It's just kind of a nice thing to have on the phone. Alright, so the next thing that you might want to look at is under NFC and payment. And the two things you're really going to want to look at is turning this on for one. It's going to come as off. And NFC stands for near field communication. And one of the things that is really nice is this Android Beam option. If you have somebody else with an Android phone, it's kind of showing you the graphic here, and you want to share a picture or a document with that person, you have it open on your phone, and they said, oh my God, can you give me that picture? You can send it in a text message or send it in an email, or you touch phones together and you hit the phone, and it's going to beam that image or that document over to that person through the near field communication. So it's a really nice, convenient way to send things. I've done this a lot at work. It's faster than a text message. It's a lot more convenient. You just kind of give a high five with phones, do a quick little click, and it's going to send your document or your photo right over to them. The other option for NFC is obviously your Android Pay. I do not have Android Pay set up. It is not something that is particularly ubiquitous where I live. There are a lot more metropolitan areas and areas of the world where Android Pay is a big deal and Apple Pay is a big deal, and you just kind of touch to pay and you put your credit cards all in here. It is not something developed in my area, so I am not an expert on something like that, but to turn that on, you're going to do that under your NFC and payment options. The next thing is lock screen and security. Now, some of this stuff you should have gone through when your phone goes through the auto setup stage, where it kind of gives you options to protect your phone. You can select the type of things that you want to use, like facial recognition, fingerprint, iris scanner, things like that. But what I want to kind of show you are some of the other ancillary options aside from that you might want to keep on. So Smart Lock is an interesting option here. Smart Lock is going to give you the option to actually unlock your phone or keep your phone unlocked in areas or devices that might be trusted, where you don't want your phone constantly locking on you. So you can add a place. You can say, I'm going to add my home as a trusted place. And if you click on that, it'll actually auto-detect your current location as home and set that as a trusted place. So while you're in your house, you never really have to unlock your phone with any of your biometrics or your fingerprint. It's just going to kind of wake up and be set to your home screen. On-body detection, it says that it's not particularly accurate. It thinks it's on your body. This is not something that I want to use because it's not going to know the difference between you and anybody else. So it's there as an option if you think that nobody else is going to pick up your phone or there's nothing really sensitive on your phone. Just so when you have it on your person, you pull it off your holster, you pull it out of your pocket, you don't have to constantly unlock it. A little bit more convenient. Trusted devices. This is something that's going to be when you connect with your Bluetooth. So if you're in your car and you don't want it constantly locked in your car, if it knows that paired device as your vehicle and you've told it to trust that device and stay unlocked in your car, so maybe you could interface with it for navigation purposes or to switch your music or what have you, you have that option not to have to unlock your phone in your car. And then you've got your trusted voice. You can set your voice recognition. I don't have this turned on yet. I should turn this on. I've had it turned on in the past, but again, it's been 24 hours and I haven't gotten through every single setting that I need to reset from my old phone to my new phone. The next thing you want to look at is your secure lock settings. It gives you some options where you can make the pattern visible or invisible, where you can kind of draw the pattern. And it either shows you the shape to see if you're on target, or it does not show you the shape, so maybe a person from behind you might not be able to see what you're doing with your shape. There's lock automatically. I have this set to, obviously, when you leave your phone, maybe you set it down, you walk away, it'll lock within a few seconds of being turned off. You lock with your power key. Now this one here, I turned off. This is your auto factory reset. If somebody tries to unlock your phone 15 times, it'll factory reset your phone. I've had a few situations, not where I've been factory reset, but I've had a few situations where maybe I have my phone in my pocket on a bike ride and the condensation in the back pocket from like sweat or heat buildup, it thinks that it's trying to unlock the phone. It's actually picking up button presses because water conducts in the same way as your finger does when you touch a touchscreen. So if you've ever noticed, if you hit droplets of water on a touchscreen, it's actually actuating the screen. So I don't want that to misconstrue that as 15 attempts to unlock my phone. So I keep that turned off. And then you've got your lock, network, and security, and these are your options here. Most of these are default set to on. Like I said, I turn that off personally, just for my own use. If somebody steals my phone, I can obviously turn that off remotely with the Samsung. The Samsung, it's like the Find My iPhone feature. You can actually go into your Samsung account and lock your phone and basically say, okay, I don't know where it is, find it through GPS and lock it so nobody else can get in there. The next one is the always on display. Again, this was something that a lot of Android phones had, but Samsung did not have this for a long time. And what your always on display is this right here, where you kind of have that clock on all the time on your phone. It actually requires very little battery to run. It is not a huge battery drain. And I've noticed this on a lot of other phones. A lot of the Motorola and LG devices had this, but not until the last couple years have they reintroduced this to the the Samsung framework. So it was a nice little addition. You hit your always on display and you can kind of select your options if you want kind of like an analog clock, a digital clock, different layout, your calendar. I chose to use the image, but you can kind of play with your settings in here. It's just kind of a nice to have. Another thing to look at here is your information and face widgets. This is basically just going to kind of show you what's on the face of your phone. If you want to have your music controller on your always on displays or have it right on the face of your phone, that's available. You can always put today's schedule and your next alarm information on there as well. But I just basically keep the music controller. So if you have a music controlling app active, it'll put your, track back, track forward, play, pause button right on the home screen for you. A lot of the rest of the options are going to be relevant to kind of encryption and locking things and making things secure. The only one that I want to make a point of showing right now is the secure startup option. And this is one of those things where if you reboot your phone or your phone dies, it's default set so that you have to re-enter your pattern to get back in. I don't think that that's particularly necessary. I mean, if somebody really wants to factory restore your phone, if they steal it and they're good at doing this stuff, this is not going to really help them. So I just have it turned off. So if I have to restart my phone for whatever reason, if I just want to kind of do a soft reboot, or if I want to install an app and it needs to kind of take on new settings for whatever reason, which really doesn't happen much anymore, or if I run my battery dead and I turn it back on from charge, it's just going to take my biometrics and I don't need to enter my pattern or my password. Alright, the last menu screen I want to look at is privacy and emergency. There's a ton of other options and features and screens on here that you can go through kind of on your own. I just wanted to go through some of the key features and big hitter items that are commonly missed and that I've had to help several friends and family navigate through so they can kind of interface with their phone a little bit more effectively. But what I thought was neat is this privacy and emergency option. They've been including this on a lot of their Samsung devices. And there is actually an option to send an SOS message, and it's set up so if you turn it on, if you click your home button or your lock button 3 times, it'll actually send out an SOS, and you can customize who it goes to, what kind of message it sends out, what contacts, things like that. There's also an option for emergency mode where you can kind of set up maybe some key contacts in the case of an emergency. If your phone is locked and maybe you're unconscious and somebody picks up your phone and says, okay, well, let's see, who's their emergency contact? They open up the emergency mode on your phone and you can have, mom, dad, sister, brother, wife, kid, things like that, doctor, things like that. You can kind of set that up and customize that. I just thought that was a neat option. They also include an option like that in the Gear S2 and S3 watch, where certain key presses will send an SOS to people in case, maybe you're out for a run or a ride and you are, maybe you were hit by a car or you hurt yourself badly and there's nobody around. It will kind of send out an SOS for you. So that's about as far as I'm going to go with respect to your menu systems here. I hope this kind of entices you to kind of explore the menu system on your own, to go through and look at some of these options, these key features that I've gone through, test them out for yourself. I think that a lot of this stuff, they're small little tweaks, but they've enhanced my use of the phone, at least for me, made things more efficient, given me some shortcuts, given me some options, unlocked some great features that they've put a lot of programming power into the phone, but because we don't get really an owner's manual of things anymore, and if we're not particularly good at kind of going through the menus and seeking things out, we might not know that they're there. So I hope this video was helpful for that for you, so you can kind of unlock the S8 Plus for all the features that it has available. And the last thing that I want to show you guys is the Easter egg. Every single Android operating system has an Easter egg or hidden game or hidden option, and Nougat is no different. And for those of you who are Apple users, you may not be accustomed to this, but let me show you how to get the Easter egg open. And it's usually the same on most of the recent phones, but you go to the About phone, and it's going to open up a series of informational lines about your phone. And your biggest concern is your Android version, and you're just going to tap on that until the Nougat symbol opens up. Now, in older versions, you used to just kind of tap on that, and eventually you'd open up games. They had the Flappy Android game in the last version, in Marshmallow, but this one's a little bit different. So you're going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and hold. Now, you see this little X sign or this no sign? It's because I already had it turned on. What you do, if you don't have the Easter egg turned on, high no battery power, is you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, long hold, and you see this little icon of a cat. Once you're done with that, you're going to swipe down from your notification bar, and you're going to double swipe down to open up your actual whole notification menu, and you're going to click on these 3 dots up here. And what this 3 dots is going to open is some of the notification information, and it's get your button grid layout, and you're going to hit your button order. And what this does is it takes any unused notification icons and features and puts it down here. You see this little cat game here with the plate? You're going to hold that, and you're going to drag it up, and I'm going to put it on my second page here. And that's going to be part of your notifications now. So you can go back right to your notification screens, and you see you have this plate. And this game is a little bit weird. It's not really an interactive game. It's more of like a long-term game where you just kind of collect these cats. So you kind of set these things out for your cat to pick up, whether it's fish or bits or chicken, or your treat here. So I'm gonna just kind of put a fish out there, and when you leave your little fish on your plate there, eventually you'll get a little bit of a notification about cats, and you collect these little digital cats. It's probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard of, but a lot of people look for the Easter egg, so that's how you get to it. So I hope these tips and tricks were helpful for you guys. I know that as a long-term, Android user, I've stumbled across some of this stuff. I've looked a lot of this stuff up, read some articles about Android devices and how to enhance kind of your utilization of your device. So I don't think that a lot of this stuff is necessarily intuitive. I'm pretty tech savvy. I usually make it a point to kind of explore through the menus. But nowadays, with electronic devices being the way they are, like I said, there's no instruction manual. There is some tutorial when you kind of first get your phone. The first time you open your camera, it kind of shows you some of the extra features. But there's nothing really to point you in the direction of some of these features that are actually by default off. Some of them I'm actually surprised that they come by default in the off position, because they're really nice to have, and there's really no harm or annoyance or really obtrusive elements to having them turned on. So I'm surprised that they're just not on for the customer right out of the gate. But the point of making this video is to kind of take you through some of the ways to really dial in your phone and dial in the settings, because phones they're tools, right? So if we have to spend too much time screwing around or looking through menus to find what we need, or take an extra couple of steps, we might not be utilizing the phone to its full potential. So I want to try to help you guys maximize on your experience. One of the things that I'm kind of excited, I guess, to learn a little bit more is about this Bixby option. So right now, you know, at face value, when you open up your little Hello Bixby, it's just kind of an at a glance of what you're kind of doing for your day. It gives you kind of some weather updates, some news information. It kind of replaces the old Flipboard, if anybody has had Android devices in the past. So you got your kind of, you can customize it with the type of news you want. It kind of puts your it puts, you know, your alarm information up there. It puts your Samsung active kind of information, how many steps you've taken. And I think what will be nice is, once I've had the phone for a longer period of time than about 24 hours, it's probably going to start to learn a little bit more about me, a little bit more about my habits. One of the things that they tout is the ability to take a picture of something, to recognize it, and maybe steer you towards information about it or towards shopping options. So maybe you take a picture of something that you like that somebody else owns, or you see in maybe like a store window, or you see in passing, and you take a picture of it, and you don't know what it is. The point of Bixby is to kind of interface with the Google framework and to give you information about that stuff, and maybe tell you where to buy it, or tell you about what it is, or tell you the history of something if maybe you take a picture of a monument or a sign or an area. So it'll be a nice thing to have as the framework develops. I think it's like a lot of the smart items that we have these days, you know, like the Alexa and Google Home and things like that. As we continue to use them and interface with these items, and they collect more information from the users as a whole, they become a lot smarter and a lot more effective for us. And I think with Bixby, it's going to be kind of like the personal assistant app almost. So as it learns more about me, I think it'll become a little bit more useful. Right now, you know, I'm pretty indifferent towards it. I haven't really used it much. I mean, my experience with the phone right now has been at home and at work. But if I have anything of real value to kind of say about Bixby down the line, I'm sure more people, as they continue to explore it and use it, they'll express their opinions as well. But outside of the uncertainty of the Bixby option, I really like the phone so far. I think from top to bottom, they've done a really excellent job. Quality is always great with the Samsung devices. You know, I like the customizable element of the Android framework. I had an iPhone for a while, and I immediately went back to Android because I felt too boxed in with the Android. And I know that for those of you who switch from Apple to Android devices, it's a bit of an adjustment. Things are different. Things for Apple users are very consistent, and in that regard, for a person who has used Apple for a long period of time, it is very intuitive. It's very simple. But if you really want to unlock a lot of potential to have a little bit more fun with your phone, I think Android is definitely the way to go. Yes, there are situations where maybe it's a little bit more buggy or a little bit less stable than the Apple framework, but there's a lot more free options available for apps, a lot of more development options. There's an ability for people to kind of get out there and express their ideas. You know, it's kind of like comparing, you know, Windows or you know, your Mac OS type of operating systems, and comparing them to something like Linux, something that's open source, something where the collective intelligence has come together to be more intuitive and to make greater leaps forward. So that's my opinion on the Android framework. That's my opinion on the Galaxy S8 Plus. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Let me know if you guys have any of your own, you know, tips and tricks that you've come across that has helped you or enhanced your utilization of your Android device, or specifically the S8 Plus. But I hope you guys have found something valuable in this video, and thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.